Okay, so let's just get right into it. We all have a phone, right? We use it constantly. But have you ever really truly stopped to ask yourself, what is my relationship with this little device actually doing to my brain? Well, today, we're going to dig into the science behind that exact question.
So, to really get a grip on this, let's just start with the sheer scale of the thing. The average adult now spends a staggering 11 hours every single day interacting with some form of media. I mean, think about that. For most of us, that's more time than we spend sleeping.
And, the main way we're doing this is through the device in our pocket. Just 15 years ago, only about 20% of people were getting online with their phones. Today, that number has absolutely skyrocketed to 91%. And our brains, well, they just haven't had time to evolve and catch up with this insane pace of change.
What's kind of wild here is that our connection is, well, it's constant. A huge majority of us, a whopping 71%, never ever turn our phones off. It's literally the first thing we look at when we wake up and the very last thing we see before we fall asleep.
So all of this naturally leads to the big question, right? With this crazy, unprecedented level of access and constant engagement, what are the actual effects on our brains? Neurologically, psychologically, what is going on in there? Let's get into the science. All right, to really understand why our phones have such a powerful pull on us, we have to talk about one specific chemical in our brains. This section is all about our brain's reward system and, honestly, how our devices have gotten really, really good at hacking it.
You've probably heard dopamine called the pleasure chemical, right? Well, that's not exactly right. It's way more accurate to call it the motivation chemical. See, it's the stuff that drives us to go out and seek things we need for survival. Like food, social connection, even sex. Without it, you wouldn't even have the motivation to get up and eat.
So, what does this actually look like in the brain? Well, in lab studies with rats, eating something like chocolate bumps up their baseline dopamine by about 55%. Sex pretty much doubles it. These are powerful, evolutionarily good things to be motivated for. But here's the crucial part.
Your phone, it gives you an absolutely endless, unlimited stream of those exact same dopamine hits. Every single notification, every like, every funny video you scroll past, bing, it triggers a little release. It's a constant, on-demand tap of the very chemical that drives all of our behavior.
And every single time you get one of those little digital rewards, you're lighting up these key dopamine pathways in your brain. These are super powerful networks that are responsible for motivation, for learning, for memory. And through a process called long-term potentiation, the more you use these pathways, the stronger they get. It's like you're paving a superhighway in your brain that leads directly back to your phone. Now, an unlimited supply of rewards? That might sound pretty good on the surface, right? But this constant stimulation, it comes with some really serious hidden costs. Let's take a look at what actually happens when our brains are just flooded with dopamine all the time.
This study just illustrates the problem perfectly. So, in one experiment, scientists put rats into a new, stimulating environment, and as you'd expect, their little brain reward pathways lit up like a Christmas tree. But then, they took other rats that were pre-treated with a dopamine stimulant. When they entered that same exciting new place, nothing. Their brains just failed to engage. The takeaway here is pretty stark. When we get constant, easy dopamine hits from our phones, the new, wonderful, exciting parts of actual real life can start to feel, well, kind of dull.
And the consequences don't stop there. Not even close. Research has linked all this phone use to shorter attention spans, making it way harder to focus on anything. It leads to something called delayed discounting, which basically means we get really bad at waiting for a reward. It can even lead to anhedonia, which is the clinical inability to feel pleasure at all. And that's before we even get to the constant social comparison and, of course, the dreaded FOMO. And yeah, the link to our mental health is getting clearer and, frankly, a little scary. One huge study found that young people who spend 7 or more hours a day glued to screens are literally twice as likely to be diagnosed with depression or anxiety compared to kids with more moderate use. Twice as likely. So, given everything we've just talked about, it's no surprise the word addiction comes up a lot. So let's shift gears a little. We're going to go through a series of questions, all based on clinical criteria, just to help you reflect on your own relationship with your phone.
But first, let's just be super clear on what we mean by addiction. Here's the broad clinical definition. It's not about just enjoying something, it's about that compulsive use, even when you know deep down that it's causing harm to you or the people around you. So just keep that definition in mind as we go through these next 5 questions.
Question number 1, cravings.
Do you find yourself reaching for your phone when you know you should be working, or talking to your partner, or maybe playing with your kids? Is that urge to just check it pulling you out of the present moment?
Number 2 is salience. And what that really means is, how much does your phone control your emotions? Do you feel happier, genuinely happier, when a post gets a lot of likes? Does seeing pictures of other people having a great time make you feel kind of crummy about your own day? If so, your phone has a direct line to your mood.
Okay, third, tolerance. This one is a classic sign of addiction, and it's all because of something called neuroadaptation. Your brain basically gets used to all that stimulation, which means you need more and more screen time or more intense content just to get that same initial feeling of satisfaction you used to get.
Number 4, withdrawal. What happens when you put your phone down or you can't get a signal? Do you feel agitated, stressed, uneasy? Studies actually show this can trigger a release of cortisol. That's the stress hormone. So that anxious, fidgety feeling you get, that's a real, physical, physiological response.
And finally, number 5, relapse. Have you ever tried to set limits for yourself? Like, okay, no phone after 10 p.m., only to find yourself right back to your old habits a few days later? Listen, if you answered yes to some of these, you are definitely not alone. So let's talk about what we can do.
Okay, I know that was all a bit heavy. But the really good news here is that we are not powerless. This final section is all about real, actionable, science-backed strategies to help you take back control of your brain.
And this is maybe the most hopeful message of all. Our brains aren't set in stone. They have this amazing quality called neuroplasticity. It just means they can change, they can adapt, they can be rewired. The habits that got built can be unbuilt.
So how do we actually do it? Well, researchers point to 3 types of what they call binding. First is chronological binding. You restrict when you use it. So maybe you set a rule only 1 hour per day or not before 9 a.m. Second is physical binding. You create actual physical distance. Put it in another room after 9 p.m. Put it in a drawer. Log out of the app so it's a pain to get back in. And third, there's categorical binding. This is where you just make your phone less interesting. Turn on grayscale mode. You'd be amazed how boring Instagram is in black and white. The goal is to make your phone a tool again, not a toy.
And that really brings us to the final and maybe the most important question of all. If you manage to do this, if you successfully reclaim some of those 11 hours a day, what are you going to do at that time? What hobbies, what relationships, what real-world experiences will you finally make space for?
Subscribe to my channel for simple, science-backed health tips. No calories, just smart hydration and portion control.